I guess we won't start planting yet. I'm a little bit too early. This stuff got dug up pretty late last night, and we had a really light sprinkle this morning, but the concrete was still dry. The rain gauge is completely dry. The gravel roads are dusty, but you can see here, it's just a little bit sticky on top, and we can't have that. What happens here is the mud will build up on these gauge wheels. You'll get an inconsistent depth. You'll start having all kinds of problems with your closing wheels back here. It just doesn't work. It's no good. So I'm gonna have to let the sun shine on this. Luckily the sun is out. I'm gonna have to let the sun shine on this so that the top can dry off before I'm able to go here at all. Could have used another hour of sleep, I guess. I guess we'll load out a soybean truck for now instead. We're not gonna talk about what happened there last night. We're just gonna clean it up and pretend it never happened. Well, Dad may as well load out another bean truck while I get the rock picker ready to go on the 6410. You know how hard it is to put in hydraulic hoses with one hand and run a camera? Things I do for you guys. Alright, we're dry enough. Time to quit screwing around and get this planter moving. I'm thinking I'd better go around. There we go, that's better. At this point, we have got right around 1,200 acres of corn in. We've got a little bit more to go over here. Today, I'm gonna get another 120 acres in, and then we're actually gonna switch to beans. We do have about 200 more acres of corn that we want to get in. The hang up is on the field up north. We're waiting for fertilizer. On this field right here, we've got some drainage issues. Right here you can see the water standing. That is not supposed to be there. It never has been there in the 25, 26 years that we've farmed this. There is a drain tile that runs through these trees here. We're thinking that that drain tile got overgrown with tree roots or somehow it got plugged, so we're gonna have to investigate that. But that whole system, that main line that runs through those trees is pretty old, was put in quite a while ago. Never has worked great, but now it's definitely got some issues, and it's actually affecting about 40 or 50 acres here, so it's gonna make it tough to get this in. We have a drain tile crew set up to come in here and fix this as soon as possible, but in the meantime we're gonna switch to beans so that we can keep the planter rolling and get some stuff done if need be. We will just plant that to beans, not worry about it, but we would like to get some corn in there and get that drain tile fixed. Speaking of drain tile, we've got a new episode on our all-new podcast called Fieldwork, where we talk specifically about drain tile. And Fieldwork itself is a podcast where a co-host and myself, we're both farmers. We talk a lot about conservation, different tillage methods, cover crops, water quality, soil health, all kinds of things like that. So if you're a farmer and you're going back and forth in your fields on your auto steer and you like podcasts, you should probably check out the Fieldwork podcast. It should be on Apple Podcasts, anywhere else you find your podcast. It's also on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. It is Fieldwork on YouTube. You can check us out at Fieldwork Talk on Twitter and Facebook, and check us out. It's a legit deal. I've got about 100 feet left here before we're gonna switch over to beans. I'm really low on seed, but it looks like I've made it. There we go. Well, I made it. There shouldn't be much left to dump out of there.
Sure got cold. Have you been outside for a little while?
Not for an hour. Did it get a lot colder out?
Yeah, north wind is cold and windy now.
I'll just let you and Jim switch it over, then I'll stay in here. How's that for being close on seed? Just as good on this side. Unreal.
Oh, you got one for me. You're supposed to pick up a pallet of seed.
Yeah, they should warn us.
Yeah.
What if we hadn't been there?
I know, that's what I told him. I said, you got lucky I was there.
So a real quick explanation there, all we had to do was change 3 things. We changed the main plates inside the row meters here that control the seed that's coming through, because we plant a lot more seeds per acre of soybeans than we do of corn. Corn generally we plant around 33,000. For soybeans we're going to plant about 140,000. We also changed a couple of internal things inside there, some of the brushes, the knockout wheels and scrapers that run against those plates. But basically it's just small internal control pieces inside these row units that we needed to change. And I am going to raise the planter up about 1/4 of an inch so that we're putting them in at roughly 1 3/4 inch, 1.5 inches, instead of putting them in at 2 inches where we like our corn seed. So to change the depth is real easy. We just click this over 1/2 notch. That is supposed to be 1/4 inch. I find that it's typically pretty close to in line with that. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? It doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to save the skunk, so I'm gonna spend about 3, 4, 5 minutes here changing the computers over. We've got to switch our crop from corn to soybeans on this monitor and on this monitor. Doesn't take too long, pretty simple, and then we'll get going here. We'll be ready to plant some soybeans. Going around with the field on the wrong side again. The field on the wrong side? The edge of the field on the wrong side. It's like our population's hitting. It's not saying we have problems. Usually, the first time we do this every season, I miss one thing and screw it all up. I don't like power poles next to a field, especially when I'm going around it backwards, like Polish end rows. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fieldwork Podcast. I'm Zach Johnson, and with me as always is
Mitchell Hora, back in the Fieldwork World Headquarters up in the Twin Cities. Happy to be here today talking about cover crops.
I've been going a little while. I figured I'd jump out and check, make sure everything's going well. Figured I'd check my depth. I think I'm going a little shallow here. It looks to me like they're only about 1 inch, 1.5 inches deep at the very most. And there's not a lot of moisture here, especially in this field where the hills are. There's a decent amount of dry hills here. The very top of the soil in this field is awfully dry. And you really don't want your beans laying in dry dirt. You want to get them down into moisture. So I'm going to adjust this back down, try to set it back down to the depth that it was for our corn. That'll get them down there a little bit deeper, down into the moisture where I want these things. There we go.
Okay, so the whole thing hinges on one guy in Brazil
Apparently.
to not have a brownout.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he was...
Backup plan's
Yeah.
working.
Again, they race again in a week and a half. I'll be posting about it on my site.
About 100 acres down, time to put in more seed. I really like this AGCAM for this job. You can make sure you're centered with the cart. It's definitely cooled down a bit in the last 3 hours. So, conveniently, that little engine that controls this seed tender is out of gas. I don't have any gas. It's 10:30 at night, and this auger is halfway out, which means I have to unhook it, drive home, get some gas. The new part of the equation is the fact that I emptied the front hopper before the back hopper, meaning I cannot unhook this seed tender or it's going to tip over backwards. I don't know, maybe. Maybe it wouldn't, but I'm not gonna try it. I'll have to get Dad out of bed. This is convenient. So we got gas in it, we got the planter loaded up, but the situation being what it is, by the way, I didn't film any of that because we're a little bit cranky. So we're just gonna not include that part. And the situation being what it is with rain coming tomorrow night, what I've decided to do is to start early tomorrow morning rather than run late into tonight, because I'm just much more of a morning guy. I'd rather do that. So seeing it's just about midnight already now at this point, I'm just gonna come out here at 5 a.m. and continue on and finish this off. By the way, the situation with the seed tender being out of gas, Dad knew that it was low on gas when he left the yard, but he tried to fuel it up, tried to gas it up, and the barrel was empty because of my forgetfulness to call the fuel and oil guy. So Jason, we need gas. Nap time.